Welcome, Joanna Zhang, to the Positively Joy podcast. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and it will be lovely spending this time together with you and all the audience together.
Absolutely. Well, so you are an entrepreneur. You're not big on labels or titles, but you are an entrepreneur and you have had a divorce story and also a spiritual journey. And the one thing that you told me when we were getting to know each other was that after the divorce, you had to kind of rediscover an identity. And I think that there are a lot of people who also go through that. When they have a relationship transition, they were one thing and then they don't know who they are. Like maybe they thought of themselves as a wife and a mother, and now they're in their own mind something different, and they're having to kind of rediscover who they are. And so that really resonated with me. I think that will resonate with the audience because we have people who are listening who are either at the beginning of the process, perhaps separated, going through it, and who also are divorced and who have been divorced for a while. And I'm finding that sometimes we are also talking to women who are widowed, who have lost a marriage, but in a different way. And they also have to kind of rediscover who they are. They may have been married for a long time and then they lose their husband. And it's like, okay, who am I now? So I appreciate you being here and the work that you do. So let's get started. Yes, yes. So talk a little bit about your own divorce journey and tell us kind of how whatever you used, how did that help you come to realize that you have to think of yourself perhaps in a different way, or maybe actually not think of yourself in a different way? And it's just something that's, I don't know, that's confusing you. But how did your journey start and then end where you are now?
Right. It can be a long story, but I know we have a limited time, but I'm going to just deliver a very intense version of that. I think all of us experience something in the marriage and then go to the end, wanted to divorce because we actually went through a lot, right? During this experience that there was something accumulated and those frustrations, the angers, all those happiness accumulate up to a certain point. We had to make that decision. However, it wasn't an easy journey for me. During that process, I went through the heartbroken, crying so many times and deep aching, and I gradually actually detached to something about because we have joint business. I have to get rid of get detached from business. That was the first layer. Then the second detachment was our joint house. I love the house, but I had to detach from it. But the last layer I couldn't really detach at the time was the kids because I could have a dangerous. I have two boys. My ex-husband could take my younger one overseas at the time. During this long journey, I had a hiccup and a hesitation not to go through straight away. I hanging there, but I still wanted to feel like that was 10 years after our marriage. Yeah. So we're hanging there for a couple of years. We thought we could work it out, but still something couldn't work out. And what happened is 4 years ago, I had a soul awakening event. That event became an accelerator for that decision into true execution and to make it happen. What happened was that during that soul awakening event, I realized I used to think I love myself, right? So I can treat myself, go travel. I started to have initially our marriage problem was because physically I couldn't get my freedom because I was kind of locked into the family business. But that's not the thing I wanted to do. That's the thing I built up for him, right? So I have my own aspiration and the dream. But gradually I started to have a physical freedom. However, deep inside of my heart, I still didn't have the freedom. That's why causing me to go into this soul awakening journey. I thought I love myself. I started to have my physical freedom. I started to look after myself. I go to eat and drink, hang out with my friends and travel. But at the time, I had a very awakening moment that the spiritual mentor mentioned to me. You actually very cruel to yourself. What? I thought I started to love myself. What do you mean I was cruel? Because at the time, I was in a deep numbness and avoidance and running away of all my pains. All those years, the pain I accumulated for so long, I created a pattern for myself. I use those super level activities to feel like I'm free. However, deep inside, I didn't find truth of myself. So I still stuck there. I couldn't make the movement forward because of that. So that's the awakening event. First, we'll create a opening crack on the light, is that there's light coming through. I finally can see, be aware every action behind my hesitancy or weight or kind of not wanted to fully let go, what's behind it. Lesson is about codependency, right? And about not fully letting go of the other person because I didn't believe that person wasn't that bad. However, everyone's journey can be different throughout this journey, but in the short, that solo awakening event made me realize my true life lesson was that I didn't want to go leave that relationship, not because I love this person dearly, I can't leave him, is because of my codependency pattern. And because certain things I couldn't let go fully, detach, and because I didn't really see through the intention from another person's part. I believe that was good intention, however, wasn't. So there was all those things by understanding myself, understanding the other party's intention, made me finally make that decision. Boom. So I think my story probably can resonate with a lot of women. A lot of time we can't make that move. It's not because we don't have a strength and courage. It's because we didn't really know why as yet to make that decision. Once we truly see the true color of another person's intention, and truly see we need to get out of certain situation to grow, then we can make a move like that. So I think that was my lesson. That was my journey.
So would you say that this is correct, that when you hadn't fully made the decision to divorce, you thought you were doing things that were making you free. So you were going out with your friends, you were traveling more, you were doing things that you thought, okay, so this will be enough. This will be enough for me to feel free. Now, for me, it was work. I just threw myself into work, and my work had a travel component. So I was traveling, I was doing my work. But then when I would come back home, and I don't know if you felt like that, but I did all these things. And then when I would come back home, I would get depressed. Like, I didn't want to come back home, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that I was satisfying myself, or I was filling or fulfilling all those things, but I really wasn't. Is that what you're saying?
100%. A lot of time we use it's superficial, but it's a kind of like activity make us feel that satisfies us on a physical level. However, if we haven't resolved our emotional, even the spiritual realms of the lesson, the deep truth of that, it's very short, sharp, it's just like a pleasure. It's not the true happiness. I used to confuse about pleasure and happiness, right? The pleasure is something like very short, sharp, and quick, come quickly, go easily, like what we used to do, right? The work and the travel, hang out with friends and the fun, the party, whatever it is. The true happiness is something like that. It's not like what we like to do or not like to do. It's something truly make us become a better person. And that happiness is long-lasting fulfillment. Maybe at the beginning can be painful. However, after that, it's long-lasting, fulfilling happiness. It's very truthful existence, sustainable. Yeah, so I think we exactly talking about the same thing. And actually, I realized previously we use all those activities as a way of escape. To be honest, escape from the truth. The truth was really deep inside of our heart. It's craving there for us to get out of the jail. You know, even when I talk about it now, I can still be emotional because I relate to that. And I believe any women in that relationship can feel something is missing from soul. It's like a jail. But as we said, without a decision, we won't be able to have a courage. And after courage, we have to take the action. It's a certain process for us to go through, and that's a journey. Actually, I have to congratulate any woman step out of the relationship which is not fulfilling with our soul, our heart. It's huge congratulations. I have to say after that, I started to have the true happiness and true freedom starts coming back to me now. It doesn't mean that immediately because it's a starting point. We started to really go on the journey to self-discovery. Go back to the true self.
I just want to thank you for being so honest and transparent. I mean, obviously, this is you're a few years past this now, and you still get emotional. I want to say to women that it's a long journey, and don't feel that you like even if it's been years and years and it's still difficult. Don't beat yourself up on that because you're a perfect example. You've learned the lesson, you understand it, but when you go back to that time and you talk about it, you can still feel emotional, and it's completely, it can be raw. It can still be raw.
There's actually not right or wrong for me, from my perspective. It's about how true do we do towards ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
In a relationship, if we thought that's the truth for ourselves, that's our choice, so be it. If we're happy. However, a lot of time is because we chose that, but we're not happy. Is that the, really aligned choice at that particular moment? That's the thing I think we started to, depends on how we make decision now, whether it's about external validation or status quo, or it's about truth to our hearts and feeling what is really good and feel happy for us.
Yeah. Let's take a couple of moments to talk about the codependency because a lot of women do feel that. So, what was that like for you? Why do you believe that you were codependent?
Well, I think that I realized after that journey, I started to look at my pattern of my relationship. I think initially my love is coming from lack because when I got married, the foundation wasn't really solid because at the time I thought it's time for me to get married. It's like a task list on tick, tick, tick. And it's time for me to get married. It's time to have kids, and then there's a man at the time shows up. I thought that's a perfect match.
Mm.
However, at that time, because my love is coming from certain criteria, also coming from I felt I wasn't complete. I need to find another party to complete myself, right? So of course, it doesn't mean that during that whole process, the only person who did something wrong was the other party. I need to take responsibility for the part I did wrong too. Because of that codependency, I started to put a lot of expectation on another person. And I was very hard to be pleased, to be honest, because I was operating as my masculine energy as well. And in a relationship, my spiritual mentor actually mentioned to me that was the mistake I made for my previous relationship, was that a man very hard to please me because I was giving partner. I was trying to give. And by saying that, I thought that's a way of showing love. However, by giving, the other party is very hard to feel like they can give me something. And it's very hard for me to receive something, right? So it's a kind of like an energy conflict in a way I created for myself. And at the time, because what I want to talk about codependency is because I believe I need another person to fulfilling my love life. So I need one person there. And at the particular time when I get married, I didn't really thought through deeper than I just make it happen. So that was the foundation there. The codependency causing this. And then even though later stage when I wanted to detach certain things, that because of the philosophy of I'm not complete, I need another person to support, and causing that too. But after divorce, I started to really see my pattern as codependency. Why I actually created that? Because my belief in I'm not complete. So after that, I started to practice and really look deeper, started to accept all aspects of myself, my brightness, my darkness, my strength and my weakness, the good thing I did, the mistake I made, whatever it is, I started to truly embrace that, accept it. And I start to feeling the divine unconditional love coming to me all the time. So I believe because a lot of time codependency means can coming from I'm not loved, I'm not accepted. So if another person feel like I'm loved, I'm accepted, doesn't matter what kind of red flags the people do, I can tolerate. I started to let them ruin my bond. So that's where the codependency coming from. However, now I truly believe I'm complete as a whole. I can evolve, be better, but I'm complete. I don't need another party to complete me. So I don't have the urgency that let someone to come into my life straight away like this. And at the same token, I started to feel I'm always loved. I'm always accepted. by the divine love, by source, by God. Either way, why don't I need another person to validate my value because of that? So because of that, I started to stand in my core. I started to truly believe in my value. I don't need to another person fulfilling those. Only allow, but my heart is open. It doesn't mean that I closed for the love. I went through the period of I don't want to trust love anymore, but a lot of experience. I opened my heart to welcome aligned partner, aligned partner with this frequency.
I am so glad. I'm so glad you said all of that, because I am 100% in agreement. I do believe that we are loved by that divine love, because after my divorce, I went seeking. I was dating. I went trying to replace what I thought I needed to replace. That wasn't working. It was, I had this revelation that I am loved. Well, why am I going out and seeking this? I am already loved. Now, I do like to be in a relationship. I do. And so, but I'm not going to force that. If it happens again, it happens. I did get remarried. But again, as you said, aligned, someone who had to be aligned with me spiritually and personality wise too. But I do believe, I think that we are running. We're seeking something that is, I think, seeking the wrong thing. We don't have to run and find love. If we receive it, we already have that divine love. We have to receive it. So yeah, well, good for you. I'm so happy that you were able to find that. And again, you don't want to close off your heart. So again, good for you. And if the right person comes along, the right person comes along. Yeah.
That was a journey. Actually, after divorce, I went through a couple of, not even relationship experience, a couple of lessons. I would say they arranged some partner to help me to evolve, right? So the very first one made me realize I truly need to, instead of putting my effort on the other person, I truly into myself, right? So that's kind of resolved my lacking part of the perspective. The second experience was about, because at the time I started to feel not lacking, and started to look for someone, and then I started to have a exchange criteria. Like I want this, like a checking list and this kind of this, But the main thing is the intention from another party, whether that's really good intention, bad intention, whatever it is. So that's another life lesson for me to learn. I have to say, whatever we experience, ladies, it's something happening for us to learn something. That's the main thing, right? So, and I started to experience a close of my heart and reopen again, because my source organized all these experience for me to really open my heart again and find out where I need to improve. Now, actually, my spiritual mentor always asks me, because she's the source, so she can actually guide me from there. She said, "Why do you want a relationship?" She asked me many times. Well, always ask me why. At the time, I was like, it's good. I have someone, but now I really truly understand. Now it's something like I want to truly love myself, filling my cup fully, and any external any more love just naturally flowing out. I wanted to have someone to share that with. It's about sharing the love together. It's not like the other person filling my cup. Both parties got to be self-fulfilled, and we share and let the love flow. It's that kind of vibe. I truly understand now why we need a relationship. And also it's a growth journey, because we trigger each other's parties, And now finally I understand why I want a relationship. When we step into spiritual journey more and more, it's another layer can be we're so attached to a certain person, a certain result, but even as ultimate truth, probably we don't even need that. We don't need that. We still want it, but we don't need that anymore. Like I'm still practicing an unconditional love. What is the unconditional love? Is there's no expectation, no attachment, no persistent thoughts. I'm still practicing it. I think they're still assigning some assignment to me to practice. It's not easy, but it's fun. Yeah.
Well, and we continue to learn and we continue to evolve really over time. And even in a relationship, it's something I think that we have to be mindful of and keep practicing. Even when you're in a relationship, say you get remarried again or whatever, that is something that you have to be mindful of. You have to continue to understand and talk to each other about this and practice a lot of the lessons. And I think, one person can move more quickly as far as kind of evolving than another person. And you have to talk about that because, one person I hear from so many people that, well, we grew apart. I think what that really means is the growing apart is that there was a lack of communication and one person was moving forward faster than the other person. And you have to continue to have that conversation. You use the word alignment, and I just think that makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So you
Beautiful.
already had a business, and you just talked about you had to you had the family business. But once you figured all that out and you had to, I don't know, did you have to sell or whatever happened? And you have become the person that you are now and the business owner that you have now. So talk a little bit about how you went from one place to another.
All right. So actually, we had my ex-husband and I, we had a business, family restaurant. And at that time, I was working as a full-time financial planner in the bank. I was working extremely hard during the day, working at the bank, and I was helping at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It's our family restaurant, right? Anyway, I put so many years effort, and then after certain years, he started to have a lot of problem with running the teams in the restaurants. He really needs my help. Somehow gave me an excuse at the time. So, okay, I didn't want to 9 to 5 anymore. I felt like trapped to freedom again. So I started to be self-employed because of the experience. So I have to thank for the experience that I become self-employed because of the strength. However, the restaurant is always for him. It's not for me. It's something to build up for his career, for his future. And I have my own cup of tea to carry forward. And that's where the strength coming together while he wanted to trap me in the business, not let me to do my own and always push me back to the bank because he's like, you will have a steady income, this and that. But anyway, that's all the other settled story. So once we divorced, I decided to give that restaurant to him totally because that was for him anyway. So there was some financial whatever conflicts. I don't want to have the headache of just spend. That's yours. Because for me, I think money we can earn anytime, but I don't want all those hassles, create all those, I don't want to go to the lawyer to fight through it. There you go. So
Yeah.
I was focusing on my own business. As mentioned, I started as a financial planner, but interestingly, at the time, I needed a lot of help for my own business because I'm not really good at IT, marketing, all those areas. I had to outsource with the VAs. I had a lot of experience and challenges working with the different VAs as well. Again, that's another journey of growth from relationship, from leadership, right? So finally, I figured out a model that can support my business within my budget by customizing the team. Then I thought a lot of business owners may need this kind of support, right? So we have a limited budget. We don't need to hire 5 to 10 full-time, part-time. But now my plug and play team started to help business owners to fill in their team gaps or their business to help them to get more time and energy back. And that's how I started this business. Everything happening for a reason somehow, So yeah, that's where it is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So some of my audience are, they may have small businesses or just getting started, or they're thinking about getting started. A divorce can certainly kind of affect kind of where you are in that. And you actually have some resources for solopreneurs. So tell us a little bit about that and, how they maybe can reach out to you and get those.
Yeah, for sure. I think for the solopreneurs, first of all, congratulate to anyone that wanted to step onto the entrepreneurship journey. I think there's one thing I wanted to share. First of all, congratulate you. And I believe you going with something with your heart. I think that's very important because all the women we experience that relationship hardship is it's guiding us back to our hearts, right? So guiding back to us the divine flow of what we're gonna contribute back to this world, after we started to fully love ourselves. So once we do that, I think our team in a way, I think can give you peace of mind that you're not longer alone anymore because our team is like a plug and play, like a backup army beside you, right? Because when we experiencing operating our own business, we may experiencing all those symptoms of wearing a lot of hats, like we handling, juggling, balancing, trying to do a lot of things. Always believe energy management even more important than time management. So once we actually have the flow, have the certain support on the side. We can go with our heart flow to create, to contribute, to flow with our love and even financials and wealth. Then everything will become a flow. Otherwise, entrepreneur can often feel being stuck because we have a limited time, a limited resources, limited capability. So I think in sense of that, if you ever feeling those kind of stuck feeling, I actually have a free guide I can share with your audience. Maybe you can put in the show notes is to how to feel unstuck during the process by leveraging other resources. Yeah. So I think feel free to look into that. We can't do everything alone, and no one is perfect. And one person can go very fast, but a group of people can go further. That's what I truly believe.
I've never heard this before. I love what you said. Energy management is more important than time management. I love that. Because that makes so much sense. And I mean, I feel it too. We all feel it. I am still working full time, and this isn't this is a heart project to me, right? But again, you have so much time in a day. So I completely understand where that's coming from. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making that available. I will put that in the show notes. I will also put in the show notes your website and how people can find you. Are you on social media?
I am. How about I share that my Linktree link?
Perfect.
That has everything. You can click that link to go to anywhere you wanted to connect with the LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, wherever. So I think that's better. Yeah.
Okay. Where would we be without our Linktree? I love that too. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for spending the time with us today, sharing your story. I just think that so many women will see themselves in this same story. And congratulations on how far you've come and what you've been able to do with your life.
Thank you so much. And I'm really grateful for this time spending together. I wish all of us can find the strength in us and make that decision, take the courage and take the action, make things happen. Good luck to it. Whatever you do. Yeah.